Yep, yep, they work. So at idle, the slower motherboard-controlled fans ran at a reasonable 420 RPM, which is what
Alright.
Origin was on when they configured the curve, while the faster IQ set ran at 1340
So,
RPM.
let's
Under
set it
load,
up
the motherboard group
to
ran
where
to
you
40
can
RPM,
see,
while the
I
IQ
can
group reached
see
2000 RPM.
what we all
Max
need to
speed,
see.
Even with the bugged lower CPU clocks, keeping die around 40 degrees Celsius. With the BIOS updated, CPU temperature climbed to a degree that opening a browser window would ramp the IQ fans to max. So on to the thermals. With a full GPU and CPU load and an ambient temperature of 22 degrees Celsius, the CPU held at a ridiculously low 44 degrees Celsius. That's only 15 degrees above idle. And it turns out that locking the CPU to base clocks and then blasting all the fans at max speed keeps things pretty cool. With the 1.7 BIOS update, temperatures held at 71 degrees Celsius. That's still great for 5800X 3D under full load, but it damn well better be good when considering all the cooling hardware pointed at it and the noise it's creating. Origin has enough thermal headroom to slow the fans down a bit, or they need to reconfigure to something that works smarter, not harder. Here's another chart. As a byproduct of all the fans going into overdrive over minor bumps in CPU temperature, GPU temperatures were tightly controlled. The 3080 leveled out at 38 degrees Celsius on BIOS 1.Z4, with hotspot temperatures of 54 degrees and memory junction at 58. The BIOS update to 1.70 had no significant effect on those temperatures, and that makes sense because the BIOS update only changed the CPU performance, and the GPU would only be affected by whatever minor amounts of extra heat end up in the loop. So these are impressive results for the GPU, but they need to be, once again, considering the noise and the money. And here's the noise. Even if every fan had been on a normal curve, our Genesis would be loud. The fans aren't on a normal curve, though. They're on a special curve. Measured from our standard 20 inches with a 27 dBA noise floor and using the original BIOS, the system idled at 38.9 dBA. Applying a combined CPU and GPU workload immediately brought that up to 51 dBA, which continued to rise gradually to a steady state 56.5 dBA. Remember, CPU temperatures under this workload only reached the low 40s, so this is completely unnecessary. For reference, most coolers we test can keep a reasonable temperature on the CPU at 40 dBA or less, with the same testing methodology too. That's over a 2 times perceived increase to the human ear with Origin's cooling. Adding the next line with the BIOS update, CPU performance returns to the proper level, but so did temperature. The system idled at the same noise level, but with frequent jumps corresponding to any activity whatsoever from background processes. Under load, the system initially behaved similarly, with a sharp rise to 52.2 dBA, but then continued to rise again up to 58 dBA, with constant spikes to 59. These fan speeds and noise levels are ridiculous for the given temperatures. It's about the same noise level as when a plane is passing. Just kidding, actually Origin's noise level is louder than that, but close enough. These fan speeds and noise levels, they need to be worked on, especially when only 4 of the fans are even attached to the radiator. Time to get into how shipping was handled, since this one's a little unique. Origin shipped 5 days ahead of the schedule it gave us, which is a nice bonus. Our Origin Genesis was shipped freight, and it arrived in Origin, what they call wooden crate armor. That's part of Origin's so-called maximum protection shipping process. It's no trouble for us to receive freight from a semi-truck at a commercial building, but you may need to consider the implications if you're on a tighter residential street. We did take issue, though, with the page's implication that good packaging is an add-on, considering this particular add-on is mandatory. It's Origin's responsibility to get the system to us undamaged, crate armor or not. Advertising that the computer you bought from us won't be broken in shipping isn't really good advertising, or it shouldn't be. Except we placed our order shortly after receiving a couple of very expensive and very broken pre-builds. So we opted for $450 air shipping as well, not included in our earlier price calculations, in the hopes that we'd finally get a functional system to review. Less time in transit means less time to get destroyed. The system arrived undamaged. It was tightly packed in its wooden crate. It had straps securing it to a pallet, so there's basically no way it would ever tip over. They don't put anything on top of it when it looks like this, and so that was good. There were inner layers of foam and cardboard, and around the case itself there was a tight fabric, which may have helped to protect the custom paint job, but we'll get to that. Both side panel hinges were correctly screwed down for shipping, so that's good attention to detail, but they may have been over-torqued, because we noticed that one of the doors is permanently ajar now, and it squeaks when opening. Inside the system, the GPU and reservoir were supported with some small chunks of foam, but there was no sign of the expanding Instapak foam listed on our invoice. From the Crate Armor description when we placed our order, quote, Instapak packaging creates a custom mold inside your system to protect your internal components from moving during shipping. This protection is key against your system being dropped or taking any type of shock or impact. Origin confirmed with us after the fact that foam is intentionally excluded in true I meant to do that fashion from custom water cooling configurations. Now, we actually agree with this. It makes sense so that it doesn't pull the tubes by accident, but it wasn't explained anywhere, and it was advertised as the opposite. Origin has since corrected its website following our concerns of poor customer communication. Other items were neatly packed around the edges. We got a K55 keyboard with zoned RGB lighting as a free bonus item. There was a t-shirt, a 32GB flash drive, and an uncomfortably thick 370 by 260mm mouse pad that's like almost 8mm in height or something. It's important to note that the flash drive is just swag. It's not a Windows recovery drive, but it could have pen. It contained nothing. It's a major lost opportunity for Origin. All the manuals, I/O shields, and assorted spare parts for retail components were included separately as physical items, as well as a complete set of custom sleeved cables additionally for the RM850X to match the ones in the system. So that was a nice touch. We were unable to find the one Origin out-of-box experience envelope with Velcro hooks, or the documentation English thank you letter folded into a sealed envelope Origin PC as listed on the invoice. Origin suggested to us that it would have been contained in a separate box as part of freight, but we have confirmed that we did not receive the manuals, but we did get the envelope. So they almost did it. Only the invoice was in that though. We're assuming one of those would have contained instructions, but our system contained no instructions whatsoever. No quick start guide, no sticker covering the motherboard video ports. These are further huge oversights on Origin's part because it could have created support requests. There was a warning about removing internal packaging, but most of the internal packaging was missing anyway, so we didn't need that. The good news is that the desktop contained a PDF with refill instructions. We also had problems with the paint job, so going into more detail from earlier, we paid the extra $350 to have only the top, front, and side panels painted pink. We chose this because red wasn't an option, even though red coolant and red sleeved cables were. But pink was closest to red, so we went with it. The panels are fully coated, including all fasteners, as well as the plastic anti-scuff pads that would have been unpainted on the stock case. There's already heavy flaking around the bottom edge of the front panel that's worsened as we remove and replace it, and this was true upon first removal as well. You'd have to take this panel off to the dust filters, so this is a particularly bad problem. At this point, even touching the paint here causes flaking. There's also some white residue over the paint in some of the vent holes on the right side of the case that looks like peeling or improper painting of some kind. At the time we ordered, black, white, blue, purple, pink, and yellow were offered, but that list has ordered black, white, blue, purple, pink, and yellow were offered, and that list side panel. We actually complained about the cable covers in our 7000D airflow review, and we feel a little bit vindicated here. The magnetic door in the Genesis won't shut properly, even with the world's most meticulous cable management, done by the people who make the case. And it's already rubbed pink paint off the inside of the side panel. The liquid cooling loop deserves some praise despite the other problems. This is a semi-custom build, after all, but we saw no significant problems with the loop itself. Origin claims to drain all air before shipping, which isn't technically possible, but they got pretty close. There was air in the CPU block and in the reservoir when we unpacked it, but of course all the air eventually circulated into the reservoir after running the system. Finally, software and bloatware. There's no bloatware, so that's awesome. Excellent job, Origin. Thank you for getting that part right. There's no Norton or McAfee bullshit, and that means that they're not getting kickbacks from those software companies, and it means that your OS is pretty clean. After booting and going through Windows 11 setup, we were greeted by a desktop that contains two PDFs, There's some genuinely helpful tools pre-installed as well, like CPU-Z and Hardware Info 64, and those are in the Origin PC C drive folder. There are also shortcuts to WebRoot and TeamViewer, but they weren't pre-installed, which we appreciate. There's the usual Windows 11 bloatware, but the only extra on top of that is Corsair iCUE. All drivers are installed and they were up to date relative to our order date, including drivers for the StarTAC 10 gigabit NIC, which we only ordered because we wanted to use it as a trap to see if they forgot them, but they got it. We had no problems with the Samsung OEM M.2 boot drive. The 870 QVO 1TB SATA SSD is a QLC drive though, and performance dropped off a cliff after the SSD cache is saturated. But in the process of setting up our tests, we found it could write 40 gigabytes of a large transfer before the speeds dropped, and even then it kept writing at 80 megabytes per second. It's a lot better than the budget drive we've seen like the and finally, our Genesis included what they call free iCUE RGB lighting with Corsair Node Pro. The system already included a Commander Core XT. The lighting on the CPU block, the RAM, the LED strips, the GPU block, and the reservoir worked well enough to start with. But when we launched iCUE for the first time, which is pre-installed, it turned all of the lights off. We had to manually re-enable the lighting. Not a big deal, but kind of weird. Origin also included an NZXT internal USB hub to handle all the extra RGB devices. We don't envy the techs who had to wire the system, but they did an excellent job. Oh.
Welcome to Maximum Settings, where you can experience the ultimate in gaming performance with our Linux Mint-based dedicated cloud gaming machines. With our high-powered PCs, you can stream almost any PC game or program to almost any device, no resource sharing. And with our easy sign-up process, you can be up and running in just minutes. But don't just take our word for it. Sign up now and start streaming all of your favorite games and programs to your preferred device. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity to enhance your gaming experience.
Tony do? What did Tony do? Why is Tony from Hack the Movies apologizing? Let's see what we can find out. do, Tony?
I usually don't do serious videos like this.
Oh, come on, I didn't want that.
But I have
Brought it to my headphones.
I need to be held accountable for what I did. I made a mistake. I made a mistake, and I need to apologize for that mistake. In the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre episode, I said something. I said multiple things
What did you say, Tony?
that really upset a channel.
What did you say, Tony?
I heard them.
What did you say,
And
Tony?
they expressed how angry they were to me for what I said.
What'd you do?
And they expressed it in the best way possible
They punched you in the throat?
by typing out a rant for Mint Salad to read while dressed as a sexy school teacher who insists that she is not sexy. So here's rant number 1 of me being lectured for what I did wrong.
Tony, this is request by somebody on the fan group. Here we go. Well, Mr. Tony, the very famous YouTuber Tony from Hack the Movies,
Uh-uh.
actually never
What'd you
could
do?
have imagined that the day that me, Miss Gonzalez, the totally normal-looking and not extremely attractive teacher, lying and failing, hide behind glasses,
Yeah.
non-revealing shirts, that I'd have to have this meeting.
Yep.
Here we are. Some troubling information brought to my attention.
Troubling
While
information.
you were ranking the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies, specifically about Leatherface from Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, you forgot to mention, point out, or even reference the only thing interesting about this entire movie. Leatherface's daughter, Bobby Sawyer, aka Little Girl Sawyer. How could have this happened? Is everything okay with your mom and dad? That type of thing could be why you don't know that he had his daughter with a previous victim that he raped. This type of slip-up is not what we do here, Mr. Man. This is not what good boys do. Good boys do not forget the line that Viggo Mortensen's character is Leatherface.
I need to check the audio.
The line was said to the character Michelle, the lead quote, "You should let Junior play with you for a bit. He is good at baby making." Tony, are you eating those
Alright,
nuts
so hold on.
again?
I do. I got some
This
double
isn't
sound
like you.
going on somewhere.
I just know something bad is going on. This isn't like famous actor from the best Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises. You know you can come to me if you're going through something. Tony, this is a safe space of trust and understanding. Now, I don't have a belt, but I do have a gun. Now, pull your pants down and bend over. This should teach you a lesson, Mr. Bad Boy Tony.
And before I could even apologize for that, they found another thing that I did wrong. In the same episode. And this one really hurts because I feel like I roped the movie dumpster guys into it. Because this episode led to a spin-off episode we did, and I screwed up again. Here's the rant.
Well, so soon, here we are once again. Even more troublesome information, young man. How did the very famous Tony from Hack the Movies find himself saying that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, The Next Generation, is an enjoyable movie? Me, totally normal looking and not extremely hot teacher, trying and failing to hide behind these glasses and this cleavage hiding shirt, would need to have this meeting again.
Where they're all
All of this chocolate
Well,
you're eating.
the Next
cannot
Generation
be
was the one with
completely
Renee
normal.
Zellweger
How
and
can a
Matthew
movie
McConaughey.
where one
in
of
it.
the OG writers come back to make fun of the franchise he
Okay,
helped
so
create,
that is
with a
working,
cast
at
of
least.
extremely
Alright, so if I
unlikable
want to bring a
characters,
YouTube
including
video up, I
one
can.
bad and OG.
So we'll leave that at that. And then, what was that? I can just full screen that one. Where am I? Right here. Alright, so I can just jump between those two if I need to. Emilico! 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 Alright, so. See, that's. I gotta fix that. That's definitely an issue. Stream output. Microphone. Huh. Figure that out. Let's see. Black lights ain't doing me no favors. You can come sit over here, Bubba. At the desk if you want to. Well, these black lights ain't doing me no favors. You can come sit over here, Bubba. At the desk. Actually, let's stream to my main